drivers putting on a great show.
On every type of track.
Driving these cars, banging off of each other.
Oh, he gets sideways. He's off the racetrack. There he goes, trying to make the pass. If you're a driver trying to get in, you get little opportunities like that. Watch how hard these guys are going to drive.
Checkered flag in the air.
Checkered flag there, champion.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Greenville, South Carolina, and the Greenville Pickens Speedway. Today it's round 4 for the K&N Pro Series East. It is the Kevin Whitaker Chevrolet 150, and there's the trophy the drivers will be chasing today. Great to have you with us, and it should be a fun time racing here at one of the great short tracks in the South. With Phil Parsons, I'm Adam Alexander. Kristen Beat joins us in a moment. As we get set to go racing today, or this evening rather, you look at the weather, 71 degrees, mostly cloudy skies, and the fans, they are out in full force. Great race fans in this part of the country. Championship standings, 3 rounds complete. Greg Galding at the top after Daniel Suarez had problems a week ago. And Ben Rhodes, our pole sitter, enters 3rd. He's with Kristen Beat on the grid. Kristen?
Thanks, Adam. I am down here with Ben Rhodes. Ben, after leading 130 of 132 laps at Bristol, you walked away without a win. Is tonight about redemption?
I sure hope so. Until then, we're going to have to keep on trying to get these poles. That's, 3 in a row now, and we haven't got a win yet. And until then, we're going to keep on trying to win them and see if we can pull it off. I mean, I feel bad for the guys. We've been so close so far and keep coming home with damage, too. So hopefully tonight's the night. We'll see if we can bring them home a win.
Absolutely. Now, earlier this month, you actually got to come down here and do a little bit of testing. How did that translate to qualifying?
It was really good. We learned a lot. I was really bad with qualifying last year, so that really helped me a lot. We did a lot of mock runs, and that certainly helped tonight. It got me prepared for getting this thing on the pole tonight.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kristen. Ben Rhodes now 4 for 4. 4 races in 2014. All 4 times he has started on the front row. Track position always big when you come to a short track, Phil. What are some of the other storylines?
I think one of the biggest things here at this racetrack, Adam, is tire conservation. It's not going to be quite as bad as it's been in the past because they're going to let them change 4 tires at the halftime break. You also want to keep the fenders on these cars, and you have to manage your brakes. This is a very high braking track here, and you want to make sure that brake bias front to rear is in the right spot.
A lot to keep an eye on for a bunch of young drivers. They've done a magnificent job so far in 2014 of keeping their eye on the prize. Who will get the big trophy tonight? We're going green from Greenville Pickens Speedway when we continue after the break. Back here at Greenville Pickens Speedway, the cars have rolled off, just about to go green in the 4th race of the year for the K&N Pro Series East Division. On the front row, Ben Rhodes, and joining him there, Cameron Haley. For more on Cameron driving that 98 machine, let's go back down to the pit lane and once again say hi to Crystal.
Marty Lindley, who grew up in Greenville, South Carolina, knows his way around this track. His name is on the Wall of Fame. He's now a crew chief to Cameron Haley and won last year in the fall as crew chief to Dylan Kwasniewski. The 98 team, starting P2, will be one to watch tonight.
You know, Adam, Marty's dad, Butch, was one of the best short track drivers that I ever raced with, really, that we've ever had. What a great, great talent he was.
The 1-to-go signal has been given, so we look at the starting lineup for tonight's race, and a familiar face starting on the pole. We talked about it in our opening segment. Ben Rhodes has been incredible. 3rd consecutive pole. He's been on the front row in every race this season.
Yeah, great start for Cameron Haley. We talked about his crew chief a few moments ago, Marty Lindley. Jesse Little, Austin Hill, row off in row 2.
Look at the guys on page 2 here. Ronnie Bassett Jr. looking for a good run, and Kinsey Ruston, who is coming off a tough finish at Bristol, starts inside the top 15.
A couple good cars there back in the tail of the field. Sergio Pena and Nick Drake back in 21st and 22nd.
26 cars going to take the green flag here tonight in South Carolina. Great anticipation by the fans as the K&N Pro Series East Division races for the 4th time this season. We are underway at the short track.
Unlike Bristol last week, no banking here to lean on AA, just as flat as can be.
And unlike Bristol last week, or much like Bristol last week, rather, no one can challenge Ben Rhodes on these restarts. He was great a week ago.
Well, he certainly was, and led all but the very end of that race when Eddie McDonald got by him. Had so many different challenge around the restarts, and he was just about flawless.
And that was typical short track racing, what we saw a week ago. Now, Cameron Haley in the second position here, side by side for third behind him. You got Austin Hill and Jesse Little going at it.
Yeah, this is a good racetrack for Jesse Little. He had a good, strong top 5 finish here in the past. Austin Hill's done a nice job this year. A winner last year at Dover. He's in that 22 car.
Little able to make the pass in that outside lane. That's an impressive move.
Yes, it is. And again, we talk about tire conservation. A lot of guys in the garage here were talking about the fact that with a halftime break and allowed to change tires, they're going to be able to run this segment harder. And I think they should run this segment harder because then they'll know what they have for the final 75 laps. They'll have a better idea how much tire they need to save, if any.
Ryan Gifford under attack there. You saw him as the 43 of Brody Kostecki was going after him.
See the 45 car, that's Josh Berry. He won a big 100-lapper at Hickory just a couple weeks ago. That's a brand new Brad Keselowski Racing K&N car.
I tell you, Brad Keselowski has done a great job of investing in the sport of NASCAR.
He certainly has. We enjoy watching him in the truck series with 2 trucks. Brad runs occasionally, but Ryan Blaney's doing a great job. Really will be a threat for that championship in the truck series.
Haley has dropped back to 4th. Good battle here for 2nd. Austin Hill all over the backside of Jesse Little.
I love the fact that we have these young drivers, Adam, and they want to lead here. They know that they need to save a little bit of tire, but hey, if there's a car in front of me, I want to pass them. There's a good shot of Ronnie Bassett Jr., the 04 car. Ronnie had a great qualifying effort just outside the top 10.
Saw Kinsey Ruston on the inside of Brennan Newberry. Good battle for position. All of it behind Ben Rhodes, who started on the pole, jumped to the lead, has led every lap, and Austin Hill now up to 2nd as he's been able to get around the 97 of Jesse Little.
Yeah, Austin, as we talked about, had that big win last year at Dover. That's a car that really races out of Corey LaJoie's shop in Kannapolis, North Carolina.
Had mentioned Daniel Suarez, the championship leader going into last weekend's race at Bristol, finished in the 26th position after back-to-back wins to start the year. He rolled 15th here tonight at Greenville Pickens and is on the move early.
Yeah, he had a couple good runs here last year. He finished 7th and 2nd in the 2 races at Greenville.
There's the 71. You mentioned Eddie McDonald. He's on the move, working over Sam Hunt. That's for the 16th position.
Yeah, a little bit farther back than Eddie would like right now, but trying to make his way forward, trying to get by that 18.
Talk about tire conservation and managing the race. Eddie did an unbelievable job of that last week at Bristol.
He did. He started 13th. They did not allow those teams to change tires during the break at Bristol. And Eddie had a lot of car at the end of the race when it counted.
You know, what's amazed me 4 races into the year, Phil, is how these young kids in the K&N Pro Series, how they adapt to racetracks and how they handle the tire situation. Did an outstanding job at New Smyrna. And as you said, they can change tires tonight. Preparation's already underway. You look at the top 5 here. We're now 50 laps in to our coverage at Greenville Pickens. We have moved ahead in our coverage due to time constraints. No changes at the front, Phil.
Yeah, Ronnie Bassett Jr. and Kaz Grala have moved into the top 5. There's been a lot of racing towards the back of the pack, but as you mentioned up front here, everything pretty well stable.
Now, the one thing that did happen during our coverage time away, we had our first caution of the night. We'll show you what went down. It was for the 55 machine of Jerry Dawson coming down the back straightaway here, Phil.
You see him just get a little bit sideways off of turn number 2. Might have had a little bit of help, make slight contact with the inside wall.
That happened at lap 36. Little damage to the rear end of that car, and we look back at the front. Ronnie Bassett Jr. in that 04 has been impressive tonight, working over Cameron Haley here.
Yeah, Ronnie's trying to better his best career finish. He finished 10th at Loudon last year for his best in the series.
And this is only his 6th career start, so he's still new to the series and hoping to do some positive things, perhaps that first trip to victory lane here in 2014.
I'm noticing some brake rotor heat on some of these cars. We talked about the very top of the show how you had to kind of manage your brakes, and you certainly have to do that here. A very, very hard braking racetrack here with these long straightaways and flat corners.
Ben Rhodes is leading what's going through his mind? He's led every lap tonight, led every lap last week in regulation at Bristol before losing the event on the green-white checker. Mentally, for a driver that's never been to victory lane, how do you manage these stages of the race?
I think right now he's thinking about the fact that he has 20 laps to go to the halftime break. Obviously, the second half of the race is going to be the same distance. We've only had one caution flag, so it's been a lot of green flag racing on these tires. He wants to maybe at the end of this segment try to let it out and see how fast he can go to see how much tire he has left.
Pretty good little battle going on here from 11th on back. Gray Gaulding in the 11th position, came in the championship leader. And he's got plenty of company. We talked about Eddie McDonald. You got Brandon Jones in that group. Some pretty good hard racing going on here.
Yeah, there's Josh Barrett. We talked about being in a Brad Keselowski car. Now side-by-side battle for 14th with Brandon Jones and Eddie McDonald. That's Brody Kostecki in the 43 right in front of them.
Brandon Jones, so impressive earlier in the season. Came out in the season opener, finished third at New Smyrna. Not great at Daytona. Was 24th there and 8th at Bristol in round 3.
I think right now, as we watch Kinsey Rushton and Lee Pulliam battling for the 6th spot, I think if I'm in an even number spot right now, I think I want to be in an odd number spot when we know we're going to have a caution at the halftime. So inside line here is so critical on these restarts. I believe that I would want to be in an odd number position, so I would guarantee myself being on the inside.
Kinsey Rushton now in the 6th position. She finished 6th in the first 2 races of the year. You mentioned those problems at Bristol where she was 22nd. And Lee Pulliam could have been in line to take over the championship lead a week ago if not for his issues, because Daniel Suarez, who came in as the championship leader, also found some misfortune at Thunder Valley.
Yeah, Gray Gaulding took advantage of all his competitors' misfortunes, had a great runner-up finish at Bristol, and that moved him to the top of the board. In points, he's had 3 top 10 finishes already to start the year.
Yeah, Gaulding has been the model of consistency. Back-to-back 7th place finishes down in Florida at New Smyrna and Daytona before that runner-up finish you alluded to last week at Bristol.
Good 4-car battle for the lead here with the 41 of Ben Rhodes leading the way. There's Jesse Little, that 97 car right on his rear bumper. Cameron Haley hanging in there, and Ronnie Bassett with a good start here early.
You mentioned the fact that we're closing on the halfway break, so you can change tires. Do you kind of push the green light now and get after it, knowing you're not too far away from some fresh rubber, Phil?
I think I absolutely would. And then, you know, whoa, little problem for Ben Rhodes. He thought the 55 of Jerry Dawson was going to give him a little bit more room, but he shoved him way down the racetrack.
Yeah, that puts Dawson a lap down. You may remember he was our first caution of the evening. We showed you the replay moments ago. So he is now a lap down, and those others behind him. And now we have our second caution. Zach Bringer involved, and it looks like that's the 21 of McKenna Bell that's also gotten turned around. Our second caution of the night, and that means we will be closing on the halfway break. Let's get more on McKenna Bell. Down to Kristen.
McKenna Bell, driver of the 21 car, seemed really frustrated with her car after qualifying. She said it was really tight in the corners. She didn't like how it was handling, and this is a testament to her frustration here today at Greenville Pickens Speedway.
When you've had a top 5 at a track and your confidence is on high, the last thing you want is a spin and to take you out of contention on the short track.
Yeah, you certainly do. Tough break for McKenna. Again, one of her better racetracks here at Greenville.
Yeah, and she was looking to bounce back. Started the season with an 8th place finish at New Smyrna, and then unfortunately back-to-back weeks where she was unable to get it done, finishing outside the top 15. Ben Rhodes continues to lead here under caution.
You know, McKenna Bell's crew chief is Coleman Presley, who has had a top 5 finish at this racetrack.
Ben Rhodes shows the way at Greenville Pickens. Closing on halfway in the Kevin Whitaker Chevrolet 150, we have cleaned up our second caution of the night, set to go back green. Ben Rhodes, the race leader, chooses the inside lane, and no surprise, he grabs the top spot into turn 1.
Jesse Little tried to get down in front of Cameron Haley to take over maintain the second spot, wasn't able to do it. They're side by side.
And Ronnie Bassett Jr. just kind of waiting in the weeds to see if one of those slips up and he can drive through and become the runner-up driver. Great battle for second here as Haley continues on the inside of Jesse Little.
Yeah, these guys know we're inside of 10 laps till the halftime break. Every position's going to count now. And I think right now, you talked about it before, Adam. I think right now Ben Rhodes is going to let it out and see how fast that car will go with this many laps on these tires.
Well, and he wants to be the race leader for many obvious reasons, but more importantly here tonight, you get to choose what lane you restart in, and you want to be on the inside.
Yeah, without a doubt on this flat racetrack. But what a great side-by-side battle we have here for second. Cameron Haley doesn't quite have the advantage. Now Jesse Little's cleared him.
But Jesse Little passed him earlier in the race on the outside, and here he's able to make that outside lane work, something we should keep our eye on for perhaps the latter stages of this event.
One thing you're able to do when you're on the outside is you pinch that guy down a little bit. You don't give him as much room as he needs to exit the corner, and that's why Jesse Little was able to maintain that spot and actually get in front of Cameron Haley.
Ron Bassett Jr., running fourth, has not finished inside the top 15 all year long. Certainly a great night going for him as things get physical back in the pack. These guys are ready for halfway, and they want to improve their position before they get there.
Yeah, they certainly do. We're inside of 5 laps now till the halftime break. You see there's Josh Berry, the 45, Nick Drake. First time we've seen him in the Napa car. There's Greg Gaulding, the 20 car on the outside.
Greg Gaulding came in the championship leader, has slipped back a little bit. There's a look at the 71 of Eddie McDonald into that long winless streak a week ago at Bristol.
Look at the huge lead that Ben Rhodes has opened up over the second place car of Jesse Littleman. And what a great battle for second, third, and fourth right there.
Didn't bother Ben Rhodes at all to look in the rearview mirror and see those guys going at it behind him. And a change for position here inside the top 10. Kaz Grala dropping back as Kinsey Ruston jumps in front of him in that 96 machine.
Yeah, Kaz got a great start to the season. A lot of experience in legend cars over his career, and moved up to UARA late models last year. Got a win in that series. Had 2 top 10 finishes this year to start the season.
Working lap 74 of 150. So we're now just a couple of laps away from the halfway break. The caution will come out. The drivers can come in, make adjustments to their cars, and more importantly here at Greenville Pickens, they will be allowed to change tires. 2 guys that very much a part of the championship hunt here. Lee Pulliam on the outside of Daniel Suarez.
Yeah, Daniel Suarez drove it hard down in turn number 1 to get to the inside of Lee Pulliam. He's able to make the pass, may bring the 71 of Eddie McDonald with him.
You get stuck in that outside lane as you see the flagman here giving the cross flags. We are at the halfway point. You get stuck on that outside lane in a place like Greenville Pickens, and you could lose a lot of positions.
It's like you're at Daytona Talladega, and the draft is on the inside going by you, or on the outside going by you.
And there's the caution for the halfway point. Reminds me a lot of Martinsville, the flat half mile in Virginia.
I don't think if I'm Ben Rhodes, I'm going to make a whole bunch of changes. How about you?
Well, and you and I talked about this a little bit last week, Phil. It's kind of tough when you come in at halfway, because if you're leading the race, kind of danged if you do, danged if you don't in regard to changes. Those guys behind you know exactly what they want to do. Ready to begin half number 2 here at Greenville Pickens Speedway. K&N Pro Series East, racing for the 4th time this season in the Kevin Whitaker Chevrolet 150. Ben Rhodes, the leader at the start, grabbed the pole position, and he's jumped out front again here as we get going in the second half.
Boy, he has it figured out in these restarts, but he leaves Jesse Little and Cameron Haley to run side by side for second. Haley drives it hard down in turn number 3.
Well, that outside lane has worked throughout the night for Jesse Little, but here Cameron Haley going to pull in front of him. That opens the door for Ronnie Bassett Jr. trying to grab the 3rd position into turn 1.
He has position on the inside here. Let's see if he can hold on and maybe clear that 97 of Jesse Little. Not able to do it yet. Look at Kinsey Ruston all over the back of the 04 of Ronnie Bassett.
You said it early in the race, Phil. Going into the halfway break, you want to be in an odd-numbered position so you can restart on the inside lane. It's paying big dividends for a number of drivers here with 71 to go.
And really a disadvantage for that 97 of Jesse Little. He restarted in second. Now he's battling for 4th with Kinsey Ruston in the 96.
See Austin Hill in that mix. Eddie McDonald among the drivers running on the inside lane. Lee Pulliam trapped outside, as is the 31 of Kaz Grala.
Yeah, Kaz Grala running solid here up in the top 10. Trying to get by Kinsey Ruston, but really has nowhere to go with Jesse Little right in front of him.
And now a battle for the race lead. The 98 of Cameron Haley to the inside. Going to grab the top spot away from Ben Rhodes, who had led every lap to this point.
Really the first time we've seen a legitimate challenge for Ben Rhodes. Obviously Cameron Haley, Marty Lindley His crew chief knows this racetrack. Kristen talked about him being a former track champion himself. Oh, 3 wide for a moment.
This does not work at Greenville Pickens Speedway. Somehow they sort it out and get to the back straightaway with no one getting turned around.
Boy, Kinsey had to get hard on the brakes to keep from running into that 0-4 of Ronnie Bassett.
Well, and you know how important track position is. That means on the restarts, you have got to go get what you can get, and that's why we're seeing aggressive racing. 3 wide again. Kinsey Rustin driving it through.
Yeah, she made a very similar move to what she did the lap before, but she was able to get far enough this time that Ronnie Bassett had to give her some room.
Kaz Gralla in the outside lane going around Ben Rhodes trying to get the runner-up position. And right behind him, Jesse Little is there.
You know, I wonder if Ben Rhodes talked it over with his crew chief and said, hey, we didn't have quite enough tire left. Even though it looked good, we opened up a lead at the end. Maybe we need to conserve our tires a little bit here in the second half.
Haven't talked a lot about Daniel Suarez tonight, but the man who won the first 2 races of the year finds himself in the top 5.
Look at Kaz Gralla look to the inside of the 98 of Cameron Haley. Those are teammates from Turner Scott Motorsports battling side by side for the lead.
Set him up perfectly, dove to the inside, and off of turn 2, he's going to complete the pass. Second lead change we have had since the halfway break. Put that 31 of Kaz Gralla on point.
I know this is a big moment for that young driver right there from near the Boston area.
And here comes Kinsey Rustin, 96 inside of 97. That's Jesse Little in the outside lane.
Well, I tell you, from the top drop of the green flag in this second segment, Kinsey Rustin has been on it.
And now to go back and pay off the point you made, Ben Rhodes drifted back, and now here he is battling for the runner-up position. Perhaps he said, we can't wait any longer on these tires.
We can't get too far back either.
We got some good racing going on tonight. It's round 4 for the K&N Pro Series East. 52 laps remain in the Kevin Whitaker Chevrolet 150 for the K&N Pro Series East here at Greenville Pickens Speedway. You saw the top 5, and our graphics folks have been working hard tonight because the leaders have been changing frequently, and we have another lead change here perhaps. It's Cameron Haley after a little bump and run going after Kaz Gralla.
Right now, first, second, third, all teammates out of Turner Scott Motorsports.
Ben Rhodes started on the pole, led every lap in the opening segment, gave up the top spot early in the second half of this race, but now just sitting back and watching his 2 teammates duke it out. Cameron Haley goes back to the race lead.
Yeah, Kaz Gralla trying to hang in there on the outside now. Cameron Haley pulls out in front. Kaz is going to drop down in between Haley and the 41 of Ben Rhodes.
Haley, the runner-up earlier this season at New Smyrna. That was his career best finish. That amazing run to the checkers when he came up 1 spot short to Daniel Suarez.
Really beat himself up a little bit over that, not maybe taking a shot at Suarez, but he did it the right way. A lot of wins left in that young man.
Nose to tail as they battle inside the top 5. You got Ronnie Bassett Jr. there, Austin Hill, the aforementioned Daniel Suarez, and Jesse Little, who has drifted back.
Suarez got his nose inside of the 22 of Austin Hill to try to take over that spot. Good side-by-side battle. That's the battle for 6th.
So move Daniel Suarez up to the 6th position after he started back in 15th tonight. He's done a good job of being patient and working his way to the front.
He certainly has. It seemed like the middle of last year, I think maybe an Iowa race, he just about finished in the top 2 or 3 spots just about every single event. Had that bad run at Bristol, cut a tire down, got into the outside wall. He wants a little bit of redemption here.
Well, and that stop, a winning streak of 4 consecutive races, the first 2 this year in the K&N Pro Series East Division, and of course 2 NASCAR Mexico victories late last year and 1 at Phoenix earlier this season.
That's exactly right. He wants to start another winning streak here.
Haven't mentioned Gray Galding's name a lot tonight. Came in the championship leader, but here we are late in the event, and he's in the top 10 going after Austin Hill for another position.
Good battle. Gray had a good run here last year, finished in the top 10 both races. He knows this racetrack. Actually had a 3rd place finish in the 2nd race here last year.
Brody Kostecki right behind him.
Yeah, Eddie McDonald right on Brody Kostecki's rear bumper. Brody's going to move to the inside of Austin Hill now to try to take over that spot.
Cameron Haley continues to lead with 45 laps to go. And Austin Hill going in the wrong direction. Wasn't long ago we were talking about him inside the top 5.
Yeah, we've only run about 30 laps since the halftime break, so it's hard to imagine that maybe his tires have gone off that far, but he could have a soft tire right now, too.
I mean, when we started this race, the sun was going down. Phil, will the track change that much over the course of 150 laps for these cars?
I think the cooler temperatures will allow them to have a little bit more grip. I don't think as abrasive as this surface is, though, I don't think it's going to make that much difference. These guys are still going to have a lot of tire left to go for this win.
Leaders having no problems getting around the lap machine of Jerry Dawson. He was our first caution of the night. See the top 5. There's Ben Rhodes in 3rd, the pole sitter. Kinsey Ruston in 4th. Ronnie Bassett Jr. completes the top 5. Then you got Daniel Suarez, Jesse Little, Greg Gaulding, Kostecki, and McDonald make up the top 10 with 42 laps remaining here at Greenville Pickens Speedway.
Right now, I think these top 5 drivers are just trying to conserve a little bit of tire here, knowing that we're going to have a long way to go. Yeah, 40 laps on this abrasive racetrack is a long way to go. But a good run again for Kinsey Ruston. You know, she finished 3rd here last year, and that was the highest finish ever by a female in this series.
One of her 4 top 5s that she recorded in 2013 has some ARC experience, and there she goes around. Ronnie Bassett Jr. got her in the bumper, and Kinsey Ruston spinning, and it will bring out the caution with just over 40 laps to go.
What a horrible break for Kinsey Ruston. It was obvious contact from Ronnie Bassett. It looked like they got to the point in the corner where Ronnie expected maybe Kinsey to get on the throttle. She didn't, and she is really paying the price now.
And what's tough, it happens with 40 laps remaining. While there's no major damage to the car, track position so key at a place like Greenville Pickens, it's going to be nearly impossible to make up the ground she lost by spinning out.
Yeah, I think it was inadvertent contact. I don't think it was intentional by any means, but nonetheless, there was contact. Here we see it again. This is the point in the corner where she would be getting back in the throttle, and she may have had to pedal it a little bit or something, Adam, and then Ronnie Bassett was right there and nudged her.
Cameron Haley is the race leader. Kaz Gralla right behind him in 3rd, and our pole sitter Ben Rhodes, Kaz Gralla is 2nd. Ben Rhodes, our pole sitter, finds himself in the 3rd position. We are under caution for an incident that involved the 96 of Kinsey Ruston. Set to go back green here at Greenville Pickens Speedway. Cameron Haley, the race leader. To his right, Kaz Gralla, and the pole sitter Ben Rhodes going to restart from the 3rd position.
Saw Kaz Gralla spin the tires a little bit. That allows Ben Rhodes to get up side by side with him in a battle for 2nd.
First time we've seen Ben Rhodes tonight have to restart from somewhere other than the race lead.
And he did a pretty good job of it, too.
And with 36 to go, we're probably closing on that point, Phil, where you can push the go button and get after it.
I think so. And you see right now, Ben Rhodes was all over the back bumper of the 98 of Haley. I think he would like that lead back. There's a good side-by-side battle for 4th with the 6 of Suarez and the 0-4 of Ronnie Bassett Jr.
Daniel Suarez has been very good tonight, methodically working his way to the front after rolling 15th, and right behind him, championship leader Greg Gaulding, who's done a nice job of playing the patience game.
Yeah, this is probably as high up as we've seen Greg Gaulding. You see him right now in front of the 97 of Jesse Little. Jesse's been in the top 5 for most of the night.
How about this battle for the lead? Ben Rhodes is 2nd, right behind Cameron Haley. And he's sending some messages to the man that's out front right now. I'm not going anywhere.
I'm right here. See Eddie, the 71 of Eddie McDonald, try to get underneath the 43 of Brody Kostecki. See Jesse Little, the 97, trying to get underneath the 20 of Greg Gaulding as we go back up front.
Yeah, battle for 3rd. Ronnie Bassett Jr. able to get inside of Kaz Gralla. Gralla restarted 2nd after that most recent caution, but he's gone from 2nd to 4th. He's got more company. Daniel Suarez right behind him as you look at the battle here for 6th. That was Jesse Little and Greg Gaulding. Gaulding couldn't get him on the outside. Going to do the crossover look to the inside as they head off the corner.
You know, one thing about running the outside, Adam, this whole racetrack is abrasive, but there's more rubber down certainly on the inside. If you go down the outside and run for any extended period of time, you may be wearing your tires a little bit more than you would be on the inside, and you may pay for it later.
This is a 150-lap race. We're down now to 30 laps to go, and things starting to get really good at the front. Ben Rhodes, one of the main players. Let's get a report on him. Back down to Kristen.
Thanks, Adam. In 2013, at only 16 years old, Ben Rhodes was the top qualifier, started on the pole, and led led every lap to become the youngest driver ever to win a late model stock race here at Greenville Pickens Speedway, hoping to rekindle some of that magic here tonight as he battles Cameron Haley for the win.
Well, I admire at the young age, Kristen, that he's able to lay back and let the race unfold. It would be easy when you're 17 years old to start on the pole and just go get it. He's really been much more conservative tonight, and I admire him for being that way on a tough short track. As you look at Kinsey Ruston, who's obviously motivated after getting turned around earlier.
She certainly is. She's making some nice moves. Got by the 34 car of Scott Heckert right there.
Daniel Suarez working over Jesse Little. Kaz Grala right in front of them as we flash back to the battle for the lead. Cameron Haley out front. Has one win in K&N competition. It came out west when he got the checkered flag at Roseville.
Remember, he won the inaugural battle at the beach last year when we had a combination East and West race. This year was just the East Series and a point-paying race.
And for Ben Rhodes, he can smell victory. So close a week ago at Bristol. He's been an unbelievable qualifier. We talked off the top about his 4 front row starts, 3 consecutive pole positions. And Cameron Haley can't breathe right now because Rhodes is all over him. And Jesse Little starting to work his way back to the front. Perhaps he was letting those tires rest early, and now we've had a change for the lead. Rhodes finally allowed the patience to pay off. He is back on point with 26 to go.
Yeah, the 98 of Cameron Haley slipped up a little bit on exit of turn number 2. That opened up the bottom for Ben Rhodes, and he drove right by.
And now can anybody catch him? Because early in this race, the 41 was no doubt the car to beat. And the one thing he hopes, we don't have any green-white checkers. Overtime was not good to the 41 driver last week.
It certainly wasn't, but as long as he maintains his top spot, he will have the advantage and the call on the restart. He certainly will take the inside, but he will be the one that restarts this race if we get any more caution flags.
Things starting to spread out a little bit now inside the top 10. Good battle here as Daniel Suarez goes after Kaz Grala.
See the yellow stripe on Kaz's rear bumper. He's one of the many rookies we have in the field. Is there a little bit of contact there for a moment?
Suarez unable to make the pass on Grala as they went into the corner.
71 of Eddie McDonald gets by the 20 of Greg Gaulding. The 43 of Kostecki is right there. Here goes Suarez again to the inside.
This is the battle for the final position inside the top 5. Daniel Suarez inside of Kaz Grala with 22 laps remaining here at Greenville Pickens.
Kaz is doing a nice job holding on the outside there. He doesn't want to give this spot up here with only 22 laps to go.
And back to your theory, Phil, if Suarez gets the 5th spot and we should get a caution between now and the end of the race, he's got that coveted inside lane for the restart.
Could be such a huge advantage. And it would be hard to believe that we could go these last 20 laps without seeing a caution, because business picks up and you get towards the end of the race when all these spots really count.
Well, I go back to what we saw late in segment 1 when we knew the competition caution was coming. All of a sudden the business ratcheted up inside the top 5 and top 10. And speaking of business, Cameron Haley might have some work to do. He's currently in the 2nd position, but Ronnie Bassett Jr., who's been fairly quiet inside the top 5 tonight, is right there.
Ronnie came from a long way behind to catch these 2 cars here, so looks like he has some car left here.
Well, the guys running 1-2 started 1-2. Ronnie Bassett Jr. rolled 11th tonight. Give a huge call to him for being able to work his way up and put himself in this position.
In AA, look where he's running right now, in the 3rd spot. If we get that restart, he'll be on the inside.
And he hasn't had a top 15 finish this year, Phil. When you look at Ronnie Bassett Jr., only his 6th career start, if he could finish this thing off, even if he doesn't pass those 2 guys in front of him, this would be a career moment.
Trouble.
And we've got another caution with 18 to go. Austin Hill, one of those involved, and also the 45 of Josh Berry.
Could be a huge advantage for the cars restarting on the inside. Obviously, Ben Rhodes. Ronnie Bassett Jr. will restart in the 3rd spot.
Daniel Suarez running 5th before the caution came out. And these 2 drivers, Hill and Berry, great qualifying runs. Started 4th and 5th, respectively, here tonight. They both were able to drive away, but unfortunately not going to get the fruits of their labor. a late spin means a long way back to the front.
Let's take another look at it here. You see that's Josh Berry, the black car, just outside of our screen. Looks like Sergio Pena may get into the back of the 22 of Austin Hill, which in turn pushes him into the 45 of Josh Berry.
And all this happened right in front of the man who led the championship coming in, the 20 car of Gray Gaulding. It's going to get good to the finish. Things back like they started. 1-2 for Ben Rhodes and Cameron Haley. We get the restart next. Cool evening in Greenville, South Carolina. The action on track quite warm. Set for a restart late in this 150-lap event. Our pole sitter Ben Rhodes has the top spot, elects the inside lane. Cameron Haley restarts second. Green flag back in the air.
Another great restart by Ben Rhodes, and Cameron Haley is able to get in front of Ronnie Bassett. Oh, now he's on the inside of our leader.
We had contact. Ronnie Bassett Jr. is there. Jesse Little in the mix. Haley unable to make the pass as Rhodes pulls down in front of him.
Rhodes push, oh, trouble off of turn 2.
A huge crash coming down the back straightaway. A number of cars involved, among them Nick Drake is there. Also the 45 of Josh Berry involved again, and the 11 of Lee Pulliam, who crashed last week at Bristol.
Yeah, Lee was in the lead lap. There's Scott Heckert. Jay Beasley in the 42 car. There's David Garbo Jr. in the 1 car. Had a great run last week at Bristol with a top 10 finish.
I mean, this is how it goes, right? You get a restart late in the race, you bunch up everybody, and they all know this is my chance to get to the front and pick off some positions.
Let's see if we can see what happens here. Look left of your screen. You see the 1 of David Garbo Jr. Maybe a little bit of help from the 2 of Ryan Gifford. That turns him around right in the middle of the pack. Heckert gets in the back of Lee Pulliam, pushes him in to the 1 car Garbo.
Gifford got through. Kenzie Ruston got through. No problems for her. Gray Gaulding among the drivers that were able to drive through unscathed. And now with 7 laps to go, another restart. Not what Ben Rhodes wanted, I don't think.
Certainly not. Cameron Haley was really good on that restart. He got in front of the 0-4 of Ronnie Bassett to hold down second, then was side by side with Ben Rhodes when the caution came out.
So we've cleaned up the caution on the back straightaway. Restart will come as we put 6 laps to go on the scoreboard. Ben Rhodes gets a great jump.
How about Ronnie Bassett now? A better restart for him. He's inside of Haley.
Daniel Suarez in that inside lane. Looked like Bassett actually bounced off the inside wall trying to get track position inside of Haley. Side by side for second, side by side for fourth. And here comes Daniel Suarez trying to steal some spots away.
Made it 3 wide for a moment. He's inside of Ronnie Bassett. Can he hold the spot?
All of this allowing Ben Rhodes to pull away with 5 laps remaining. Suarez, Bassett Jr. side by side for the runner-up position.
Ronnie Bassett drives it hard down in turn number 3, slides up the racetrack, opens up the bottom.
Jesse Little inside of Cameron Haley.
Boy, Ronnie Bassett is hanging in there. And ooh, a little bit of contact, cars all over the racetrack.
3 wide into the corner. Kaz Gralla outside of Eddie McDonald, inside the 2 car of Ryan Gifford. They are fighting for position everywhere.
Look at Jesse Little driving down 3 wide to the inside.
Ronnie Bassett Jr. now in the runner-up position as we come to 3 laps to go.
Cameron Haley now gets to the inside of Jesse Little.
Haley, who started second, is fighting back. He wants a top 5 tonight.
Suarez hanging in there in that battle now in the 5th spot.
Some of the best the K&N Pro Series East has to offer going at it on a short track Saturday night at Greenville Pickens Speedway. 2 laps remaining for the leader, Ben Rhodes.
Cameron Haley has 3rd for the moment, but side by side for 4th with Suarez in the 6 and Jesse Little in the 97.
Rhodes just wants to see the white flag. He got beat last week at Bristol on a green-white checker finish. He doesn't want overtime again because he knows all these guys will come after him. White flag is out. Ben Rhodes, your leader in pulling away. Ronnie Bassett Jr. in the 2nd position. And there's Cameron Haley running 3rd.
Suarez tries to get to the inside of Jesse Little, not able to do it that time.
Ben Rhodes started on the pole, dominated early, and when the smoke settles at Greenville Pickens Speedway, it's going to be the 41 getting the checkered flag. First career win for Ben Rhodes here at Greenville Pickens.
What an outstanding job by Ben Rhodes. He had a strong car, dominated the first half, dropped back a little bit in the second half, but made his way back to the front when it counted.
He has been impressive on and off track. Last week, a heartbreaker at Bristol. He handled his post-race interview as eloquently as you could ever ask, like a true veteran. And tonight, his patience pays off. He gets the pole. As you said, Phil, he settles back. And then when the money's on the line, he goes and gets the checkered flag. First time in his career he's been able to do so.
And some better news for him. He's going to run the truck race at Martinsville here next week.
For Turner Scott, which is good equipment.
Absolutely.
He didn't lead wire to wire this week like he did 1 week ago, but he led the most important lap here at Greenville Pickens Speedway. We hear from Ben Rhodes after a break. It was a great night here at Greenville Pickens Speedway in South Carolina. The Kevin Whitaker 150 goes right down to the wire. Ben Rhodes able to grab the checkered flag. There is nothing like your first trip to victory lane. Let's join the celebration and send it down to Kristen B.
A huge win for Ben Rhodes tonight. His first NASCAR K&N Pro Series East victory at Greenville Pickens Speedway. Getting some great encouragement from all of his teammates. Ben, this is your first NASCAR K&N Pro Series East victory. How does it feel?
Well, I just got a big Gatorade shot to the ear, so I'm going to be plugging that out tonight. But it feels amazing. These guys have worked hard all day. And, you know, I thought we had it last weekend at Bristol. And I was so hard to be patient there at the end. Those cautions kill me. But we had a fast car all weekend. Just got to thank Alpha Energy Solutions so much, Turner Scott Motorsports. They've given us a great car. Park Community Credit Union and Kentucky National Guard. They've been great to us this year, and hopefully we can bring home some more for them.
Now, I know your team is super proud of you right now. You guys definitely fought hard for this win. The 98 Cameron Haley, you guys were battling the entire race. Does this feel like the sweet redemption that you were seeking after that Bristol race?
Absolutely. I think I was factoring it all out as we were out there under our pit stop. I was like, okay, so we led all 75 laps, so we got the auto light, we got the pole. I was trying to count off all the awards. You know, that's our goal every weekend, to go out there and get all the awards we can, and I think we did it this weekend.
Congratulations, Ben Rhodes here in Victory Lane at Greenville Pickens Speedway.
He got a lot of awards last week, Kristen, but not the one that mattered. Tonight, all different for Ben Rhodes. Career win #1. And what about Ronnie Bassett Jr. in second?
Yeah, 10th was his best career finish coming in here. Great runner-up finish at a racetrack that he has a little bit of experience at.
Good bounce back for Daniel Suarez. He finishes inside the top 5. Greg Galding came in the championship leader, 11th this evening. And how about Kinsey Ruston going 12th after her problems? You see some of the other drivers that had issues. Let's hear from Ronnie Bassett Jr., our runner-up.
All right, I'm standing here with P2, Ronnie Bassett Jr. You actually made your series debut here last year at Greenville Pickens Speedway. Tell me about how it feels to be able to take a P2 finish tonight.
It feels good. You know, we had a bunch of new guys with us this year, and to come back and, you know, we've had a rough start to the year. You know, we haven't finished too good, and this year, or to come back here and get a second place finish and run solid in the top 5 all night feels pretty good.
Congratulations on your finish.
Thank you, Kristen. And now our championship standings, 4 races into the year, Phil.
Yeah, Ben Rhodes has been strong, as we mentioned, all 4 races here. Now 7 points up on Suarez. Greg Galding drops to 3rd.
And now we hear from the guy that finished 3rd tonight, Cameron Haley, 4th in the championship.
Thanks, guys. I'm down here with Cameron Haley, driver of the 98 car. You guys were battling fiercely out there. Tell me about it.
Well, you know, it was really tough. The 75-lap break for tires was really difficult, I thought. We didn't know how hard to go. We didn't know how much to save. And us personally, I think we needed to save a lot more. But the race was so fast-paced that we couldn't afford to drop that many positions. But overall, great night for our Cabinets by Haley Chevrolet. I can't thank Cabinets by Haley Curb Records enough. They do a ton for me. And we're going to come back to Richmond here and get a win.
A solid P3 finish from Cameron Haley in the 98 car tonight.
Thanks, Kristen. The next time you see the K&N Pro Series on Fox Sports 1, it will be the West Cars doing battle in the Napa Auto Parts 150 from Irwindale. You can watch it Friday, April 4th, noon Eastern time. Phil Parsons, Ray Dunlap on the call of that one.
Yeah, great to see the West Series go back to Irwindale after a year or 2 off.
So as we anticipate going out west with the West Machines, we do so with a tough act to follow. An entertaining evening, to say the least, here at Greenville Pickens Speedway.
Boy, it certainly was, and you really have to applaud NASCAR for allowing these teams to change tires at the halftime break. That made a world of difference in this show.
Some drivers that had a good bounce back. Kenzie Ruston spins early. She's able to rally. You had Daniel Suarez bouncing back from disappointment at Bristol. But when it's all said and done, it's Ben Rhodes who gets his first career win. For Kristen Beat and Phil Parsons, I'm Adam Alexander. We'll see you next time.